all of you students. Hope you are all fine, studying, enjoying lectures. I have just uploaded yesterday's video which I had taught you for the students, some part of it, that is history. So today I am going to start the Romantic Age. But before going to start the Romantic Age, you have to know the precursors of Romantic Age. रोमांटिक एज जब आया तो रोमांटिक एज आने के पीछे रीजन क्या था एंड व्हाट वर द रीजंस एंड हाउ इट फाइनली केम. इसके पीछे कोई तो रीजन रहा होगा. क्या क्या रीजंस थे, क्या क्या कैसे कैसे हुआ, वो हम आपको एक शॉर्ट डिस्कशन देंगे विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर एनी एग्जामिनेशन. सो स्टूडेंट्स, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल note this thing that the publication of the lyrical ballads in 1798 was a landmark in the English literary history. And because of this coming of the lyrical ballads, which actually inaugurated the Romanticism in the first half of the 19th century. And the Romanticism of the early part of the 19th century is also called the Romantic Revival. It is basically called the Romantic Revival. Why? Because it somewhere revived the romantic ideas of the Elizabethan age. Elizabethan age खत्म होने के बाद और जब ये रोमांटिक एज आया तो इन दोनों के बीच में बहुत सालों का फर्क है. तो जो ये न्यू क्लासिकल एज था, पीपल वर एक्चुअली फेड अप विद दैट न्यू क्लासिसिज्म, विद द न्यू क्लासिकल एज, with that heroic couplet and all those things, without imagination, without emotions, without passion, without country life, without anything which deals with actually the human psychology and human mind. So all those romantic ideas of the Elizabethan age, they again came into existence in the Romantic age, and which had already existed in the Elizabethan age. And by the close of the 18th century, a tendency was to be seen, could be seen, to revive these elements of romantic poetry. कि हमको उसका बीज, उसका कण समझ में आना शुरू हो गया था कि रोमांटिक पोइट्री की तरफ हम कहीं ना कहीं जा रहे हैं. और कैसे पता चला वो? When we found that there were poets who started writing about the love of nature, about the admiration of the fantastic, about the interest in the medievalism, in the Middle Ages. All these things were totally exiled in the age of Dryden and Pope. Pope और Dryden के एज में यह हमको देखने को ही नहीं मिला. And the poets who reacted against the neoclassical models and traditions, मैं हिंदी में इसको आपको एक्सप्लेन कर रहा हूं, जो पोएट्स ने नियोक्लासिकल मॉडल्स के अगेंस्ट रिएक्ट किया और उनके ट्रेडिशन के अगेंस्ट रिएक्ट किया, उनको कहते हैं प्रिकर्सर्स ऑफ रोमांटिसिज्म. दे आर नोन एज प्रिकर्सर्स, ब्रिंगर्स ऑफ रोमांटिसिज्म, ऐसे समझिए. एंड दिस रोमांटिसिज्म इज अ मूवमेंट which culminated with which poet? Wordsworth, one of the greatest poet of that century. And we also found Walter Scott's death in 1832. This is important to know before entering into the precursors of the Romantic Revival. Clear? Noted it down? Yes. Okay, students. So this is now where we are going to start about the pre-romantic poets. Pre-romantic poets. The first comes James Thomson. James Thomson. एक वर्ड आता है इंग्लिश में जिसको कहते हैं ट्रांजिशनल पोएट. सो ये ट्रांजिशनल एज क्या थी बच्चों? व्हाट इज दिस ट्रांजिशनल एज? ट्रांजिशनल एज वो थी कि जब इससे पहले 1700 टू 1750 एंड 1700 to 1750 is called the age of Dr. Johnson, Dr. Samuel Johnson. क्योंकि 1660 एंड अप टू 1798, देखिए समझिएगा, 1660 से लेकर के 1798 तक कितना लंबा पीरियड है ये देखिए. सो 1660 टू 1700 restoration age, or you can say the neoclassical age, or you can say the age of Pope. Then 1700 to 1750, 1700 से 1750, इस एज को कहते हैं एज ऑफ डॉक्टर सैमुअल जॉनसन. एंड देन फ्रॉम 1750 up to the publication of लिरिकल बैलेट 1798, इस एज को कहते हैं एज ऑफ ट्रांजिशन. ट्रांजिशन का मतलब होता है ना तो हम न्योक्लासिकल की तरफ हैं और ना तो हम रोमांटिक बन पाए हैं. वी आर लाइक अ पेंडुलम. वी ourselves don't know that we are neoclassical or we are romantic. So ये एज जो थी 45-50 साल की, इसमें जितने भी पोएट्स हुए शुरुआत में, अगर हम इसमें हायर लेवल पे जाएं 1750, 55, 60, 65, तो इधर आपको ज्यादा ट्रांजिशनल पोएट्स मिलेंगे who were also delved with the transitional elements. लेकिन जैसे जैसे और हम बढ़ते गए वैसे वैसे हमने ये देखा कि people are now actually taking into consideration the romanticism part. So जेम्स थॉमसन से हम लोग इसलिए शुरुआत करते हैं because he was a typical transitional poet and he belonged to the first half of the 18th century. First half means 1700 to 1750. And James Thomson began writing when Pope was at its height of popularity. But in spite that Pope was at its height of popularity, he broke away from the tradition of that school of explorers of the fresh woods and the pastures and the beautiful countryside, and he published his poem known as The Seasons. And this poem, The Seasons, it is a collection of 4 poems: summer, winter, spring, autumn. So ये 4 poems का नाम रखा गया The Seasons, which was published in 1730 and which is considered to be a great important landmark in the history of English poetry, क्योंकि यही पोएम है जिसने रास्ता दिखाया रोमांटिक की तरफ. यद्यपि कि जेम्स थॉमसन was a 100% neoclassical poet. In spite of that, he wrote this poem and everybody was astonished. And he was the person who bade goodbye, farewell to the heroic couplet, and even started using blank words and even the Spenserian stanza, like Spenser and others. And his poem, The Seasons, is considered to be an important poem because of its accuracy, because of its descriptions of the natural landscapes and scenes, and the use of Latinisms and the personifications is frequent. And he is also known for his love for nature. Then, तो ये तो सीजन्स के बारे में हो गया. थॉमसन की एक और पोएम है जो कई बार आ चुकी है एग्जाम्स में, दैट इज कैसल ऑफ इंडोलेंस. कैसल ऑफ इंडोलेंस, दिस इज अ 1748 पोएम, 1748 की है, which is written in Spenserian stanzas and is known for its luxuriant, imaginative colors written of the Elizabethan poets. मतलब जैसा एलिजाबेथन पोएट्स लिखते थे, फुल ऑफ लग्जरी, फुल ऑफ इमेजिनेशन, वैसा थॉमसन ने लिखा कैसल ऑफ इंडोलेंस. एंड थॉमसन इन दिस पोएम हैज एंटिसिपेटेड द रोमांटिक्स. उसने एंटिसिपेट कर लिया द रोमांटिक्स को इन हिज लव फॉर नेचर, in his treatment of the new subjects, and in his strong imagination, and giving up the heroic couplet. Now, the next poet we are going to take is Thomas Gray. Thomas Gray का आपने अच्छे से नाम सुना होगा. He is a great poet. he is actually a central figure who has taken a drift away from the dominant school of the classicism which existed that time and towards the rising school of romanticism. क्लासिसिज्म के तरफ से और राइजिंग स्कूल ऑफ रोमांटिसिज्म की तरफ ग्रे ने अपने को बढ़ाया. एंड दिस राइजिंग स्कूल ऑफ रोमांटिसिज्म actually began with the publication of Thomas the Seasons, and this finally rising and reaching its climax with the publication of Lyrical Ballads in 1798. And in the early poems of Gray, you will not find anything romantic. And in these early years of his career, he was actually a complete classicist. He is known for his early odes like Ode to Eton, Ode to Spring, and Ode to Adversity. तीनों ode important है. These odes are executed according to their own way, and they contain very little imitation of his later works too. They have nothing of the spirit of romanticism in them and might have been written by any Augustine में Augustine age से, of some sufficient talented man. But we remember Thomas Gray for his famous elegy written in a country churchyard. And this elegy written in a country churchyard, जिसको short में सिर्फ हम elegy कहते हैं, marks a transitional phase from the early period of the classicism to the later period of romanticism. Why? Because this poem has also many classical touches. It is not a romantic poem. Its moralizing is conventional, and it pleased the 18th century readers for that very reason. But it is considered to be the masterpiece of the school of melancholy or the churchyard school, which was then in fashion at that time. And the one secret of its immense popularity is due to the fact that it is known for its absolute perfection of language, which has abundance of personifications and other artifices of classics. There is much moralizing in it, but with that moralizing, it is also suffused with emotion. Are you able to understand, students? So, in short, we can say that the elegy, despite, it has many conventional touches. It is romantic in its mood, and this poem stands as a transition between his period of classicism and his highly imaginative poetry. The two Pindaric odes show Thomas Gray well on the way towards romanticism. ये दो Pindaric odes जो उसने लिखे हैं वो खास तौर से बता रहे हैं कि yes, वो रोमांटिसिज्म के रास्ते में चल चुका है. The two odes, especially the Bard, B-A-R-D, the Bard, are the most imaginative poetry Gray has ever produced and were distinctly in advance of the age. And in these odes, Gray does no longer follow his age. He strikes out ahead of it and helps to mold its literary taste. And the two odes palpitate with emotion and imagination. And how? ऐसे जैसे कि किसी बहुत मास्टर हाथ ने लिखा हो, as if it is written by some master hand. And these odes take Gray to a long step towards romanticism, as they have the romantic flights of imagination, they have the feeling of the past, they have the love for wild nature, and they have even the you can say, the suggestions of the supernatural. And yes, the diction, the language continues to be conventional and ornate. Ornate मतलब सजाया सवारा जाता है जैसे language को. So the Gray, we can say the Gray, the romantic, is still unable to free himself. तो इससे क्या कह सकते हैं, जब हमने ये बताया आपको कि diction और language is continuing to be like a conventional and ornate, क्योंकि conventional और ornate तो romantic का part है ही नहीं, तो हम क्या कह सकते हैं कि yes, Gray the romantic is still unable to free himself from the chains and from the shackles of classicism. Clear? Now the final stage comes when the fatal sisters, ये वर्क है, the fatal sisters, the descent of Odin, the triumphs of Owen. Gray is strictly a romantic. ये सारे वर्क्स हैं, ये शायद आपको किताबों में वैसे नॉर्मली नहीं मिलेगा, but these people they ask it. The fatal sisters, the descent of Odin, O-D-I-N, and the triumphs of Owen, O-W-E-N. In these, he is strictly a romantic. Now, we will discuss about Gray as a precursor of romanticism. How we will prove it? Gray was undoubtedly a romantic in the sense that he could shake off the rigid hold of the heroic couplet. जो heroic couplet का इतने सालों से hold था, he could actually shake off and could use a great number of other measures. But he was not equally successful in getting rid of the ornate and the highly artificial diction of the school of classicism. And despite the fact that he has, at least in his later poetry, that is the romantic sensibility, that is imagination, emotion, love for nature, and even simple humanity, feeling for the supernatural, a love for the past, we cannot rank him with the great romantics. ये जितने भी वर्ड्स मैंने लगाए हैं, ये सारे वर्ड्स किसके लिए इस्तेमाल होते हैं? रोमांटिक्स के लिए. तो अगर इन सारी चीजों को ढूंढेंगे किसमें? ग्रे में, तब हम उसको अगर हम तराजू में रख करके ये देखेंगे कि कौन रोमांटिक है या कौन रोमांटिक एज पे ज्यादा सूट करता है, तो वी कैन नॉट रैंक हिम विद द ग्रेट रोमांटिक्स. द रीजन इज हिज क्लासिकल, जो जकड़ा हुआ है वो क्लासिकल कन्वेंशंस का जो उसको जो चेंज है, एंड ही इज नॉट एबल टू give the free expression of his romantic impulse. Clear? So हमने आपको बहुत अच्छा डिटेल बता दिया है. इतने डिटेल शायद आपको किताबों पे नॉर्मली पढ़ के उतना आप कंसेप्ट ना क्लियर कर पाते. आई एम नॉट एबल टू सी सो मेनी स्टूडेंट्स विद मी, दे हैव नॉट पुट द अटेंडेंस. आपको ये पता होगा कि अगर हम किसी क्लासरूम में बैठते हैं और सर जब आते हैं तो क्लासरूम में यस सर नो सर करते हैं कि नहीं हम लोग बचपन से ही. सो यू शुड बी इन अ हैबिट ऑफ डूइंग एटलीस्ट अ प्रेजेंस, विच आई ऑलवेज टेल स्टूडेंट्स कि अपनी प्रेजेंस जरूर लगाइए और हमको भी अच्छा लगेगा कि आप सुन रहे हैं. सो ऑल ऑफ यू गुड आफ्टरनून. हमने एक्चुअली हमारे सामने जो कंप्यूटर लगा है दैट इज ऑन माई लेफ्ट साइड. जनरली वो टीचर्स के सामने होता है, बट सामने हमें प्रॉब्लम होती है, हमारा थॉट प्रोसेस मैसेजेस को देख करके वो प्रॉब्लम कर सकता है. दैट इज वाई ऑल द टाइम आई कैन नॉट सी ऑन द लेफ्ट साइड. सो दिस इज जस्ट कि हमारा जो लेक्चर है वो डेडिकेटेड हो और हमारा थॉट प्रोसेस कहीं ब्रेक ना हो, क्योंकि मैसेजेस को देख के मान ब्रेक होने की उम्मीद होती है. तो थॉट प्रोसेस रुक जाता है, विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आई एम श्योर यू विल understand this thing. All of you, good afternoon. Still many students are not. Now it is good that students are coming here. Every student who is live with me here should register at least once. Now, coming to the third poet, Oliver Goldsmith. Oliver Goldsmith कौन था? He was a contemporary of Dr. Johnson. And Dr. Johnson कौन थे? Again, he was a great classicist. जैसे थॉमसन थे, जैसे पोप थे. And Oliver Goldsmith has left behind him two important poems. One important poem is The Traveler and the second is The Deserted Village. Very important poems. And both are written in heroic couplets. Remember this thing. The first poem, The Traveler, is didactic and is concerned with the description and the criticism of the various places and people of Europe which Goldsmith visited. And the second poem, that is The Deserted Village, is rich in the natural descriptions and is vibrant with a peculiar note of sentiments and melancholy. And this poem foreshadows the 19th century romantics. The substance of these poems foreshadows the rising romanticism of the day. But the diction is again artificial and pompous and ornate. How? In the pseudo-classical tradition of the past. Pseudo मतलब समझते हैं? PSEUDO, pseudo-classical. Pseudo मतलब होता है false classical tradition. ये जो क्लासिकल्स थे ये अपने को समझते थे कि हम बहुत बड़े पढ़े लिखे हैं, महान हैं. तो pseudo का मतलब होता है false. They used to think but they actually were not. They used to compare with Horace and Ovid and Aristotle and Plato. उनको उससे कंपेयर करके अपने को ये समझते थे कि मैं इतना महान हूं, which was actually not like that. इसीलिए वर्ड लगता है pseudo classical. Now coming to the next poet is William Cowper. He is again a great pre-romantic, and his greatest poem is The Task. The Task, T-A-S-K. This poem, The Task, is written in blank verse, and it has a very famous line which is also asked in the paper sometimes कि ये किस poem की है या किस writer की है, और वो line है God made the country and man made the town, which indicates his love of nature and his humble humanity. But the classical element in him puts down the new and the romantic. Clear, students? So इतना काफी है विलियम काउपर के ऊपर. So we will be moving towards the next, that is George Crabbe. George Crabbe, he also was a poet who continued the new classical tradition as far as his diction is concerned. जॉर्ज क्रैब की जो मास्टरपीस पोएम है उसका नाम है द विलेज, which is mostly descriptive of the miseries of the poor villagers. And उसने कहीं पे लिखा है एक लाइन पोएम की, I still remember, I paint the cot, C-O-T, as truth will paint it and as bards will not. I paint the cot as truth will paint it and as bards will not. He shows much concern for the humble humanity who are living in the lap of nature, but it was left for Wordsworth to glorify their simplicity and humility. And by his plain and realistic treatment of life of the village, he served to focus his attention on their miseries, and he occupies a very important place in the romantic reaction against Pope and his followers or his school. Then we have the next is Robert Burns. Robert Burns, he was a Scottish peasant who took to poetry and became the true national poet of Scotland. उसकी एक पोएम है जिसका नाम ही है Poems, chiefly in the Scottish dialect. पूरा नाम है Poems, chiefly in the Scottish dialect, written in 1786. इस पोएम ने उसको स्काई रॉकेटेड कर दिया, मतलब रॉकेट तक चला गया वो, उसका नाम, उसकी शोहरत skyrocketed him to fame. And all these poems reflect the spirit of romanticism as far as the spontaneity, the humor, pathos, love of nature, love for the lowly creatures, etc. Sincerity, passion are the chief keys of the verses of Robert Burns. He was very much influenced by the spirit of French Revolution, and his love and sympathy extended even to the lower animals whom he studied minutely and described it with full of feelings. आपने हडसन का नाम सुना होगा, हडसन, ग्रेट क्रिटिक एंड राइटर। हडसन ने रॉबर्ट बर्न्स के लिए एक कोट लिखा है और उसने ये लिखा है दैट रॉबर्ट बर्न्स इज द माउथपीस ऑफ द ग्रोइंग फेथ इन लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी एंड फ्रेटर्निटी। He is the mouthpiece of the growing faith in liberty, equality, and fraternity. Next, and one of the most famous poets, William Blake. Who is William Blake? He was the first to introduce the romantic note of mysticism in English poetry. He was the first to come to introduce the romantic note of mysticism. He is called as a poet of mysticism. And in his poetry, we actually feel very close to Wordsworth. Though he is actually a transitional poet or a precursor of the Romantic Revival, he was one of the most undisciplined and the most lonely of all poets, एकदम अकेला, who used to live in his own world, and those world was peopled by phantoms, by specters, whom he regarded as more real than actually the realities of the physical world. And he is best known for his 3 very, very thin volumes. Number 1 is Poetical Sketches, then Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. Songs of Innocence में आपने पढ़ा होगा लैम्ब वाली पोएम, एंड सॉन्ग्स ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस में आपने पढ़ा होगा टाइगर टाइगर बर्निंग ब्राइट, which all these poems, they contain some of the most precious gems of English lyricism. He loved nature, but all nature for him is a fire with God. She is for him a window to God. He may not spiritualize nature, but he comes very near to doing so. इसीलिए कहा कि towards Wordsworthian approach है उसका. So with Blake, we are actually on the threshold of the romantic era. यहां पे हम आपको एक चीज और बताना चाहेंगे इन कंटिन्यूएशन विद दिस, कि कहीं मिस ना कर जाए, क्योंकि हो सकता है बाद में हम भूल जाएं. अभी मुझे याद आ गया है, इसी के रेफरेंस में उसको कहते हैं द चर्च यार्ड स्कूल. मेनी ए टाइम्स एग्जामिनेशन में आपको ये मिलेगा, इसके लोग मिलेंगे, इसके डिटेल्स मिलेंगे और पूछ लेते हैं, इंटरनल चीजें तक पूछ लेते हैं. मैं आपको बताता हूं द चर्च यार्ड स्कूल. इसका डिटेल आप हमारे स्टडी मटेरियल में भी पाएंगे. द चर्च यार्ड स्कूल, वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ द मेडिवल रिवाइवल was a renewed interest in the poetry of the old English masters, more especially Spenser, Milton. And under the inspiration of Milton's Penseroso, जो मैंने आपको कल परसों बताया था, Il Penseroso, there grew up a school or cult of melancholy. And the poets of this school are known as the Churchyard School of Poets. And Gray's Elegy in the Country Churchyard is the best and the most popular poem of this school. And in this connection, you have also to mention of Edward Young. Edward Young, who is known for his poem Night Thoughts. Night Thoughts. This poem imparted the romantic touch of melancholy to the poetry of this period, for it became a fashion to imitate Young and write like him in a melancholic vein. So this was the totality of the precursors of romantic revival, where I also told you the transitional definition कि what is transitional poets, transition movement क्या था, और उसके बाद ये आपका न्यू क्लासिकल क्या था, उसके बाद एज ऑफ डॉक्टर जॉनसन, एंड देन कमिंग टू the transitional and ultimately culminating to the romantic age. और जब 1798 फाइनली आ गया, so this means कि वो आपका romantic age आ गया. So now we will discuss here a brief summary or a survey of the English Romantic movement, which is known to start from the Lyrical Ballads publishing from 1798 to 1850. ये पूरा एज कहलाता है रोमांटिक मूवमेंट, रोमांटिक एज, एज ऑफ वर्ड्सवर्थ, कीट्स, शेली, बायरन, कोलरिज, एसेट्रा एसेट्रा. Is it clear, students? I will just take 1 minute break. By the time you just tell me that everything was fine, was the lecture clear? Everything is clear to you in your mind now? Just answer me on the message box so that I may understand that yes, the precursors of the romantic movement is very crystal clear to all of you. So it's good that you all understood it well. So now, romantic movement. As I just told you, students, that ऐसा माना जाता है, it is generally supposed that the English Romantic movement began in 1798. And how? With the publication of Lyrical Ballads. But it is a mistake to assign any definite date to it. It was not a sudden outburst, but the result of long and gradual growth and development, which finally culminated to romantic movement. सोचिए 150 पौने 200 साल का इंतजार था लोगों को. And the poets of the romantic school, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Keats, etc., were not even the first romantics of England. For the Elizabethan literature is essentially romantic in spirit, जो मैंने आपको इससे पहले भी बताया. It is also full of that sense of wonder that sense of mystery, that love of adventure, love of daring, that curiosity, restlessness, which we associate with the poets of the early 19th century. The romantic spirit suffered a total decline and eclipse during the Augustan or the pseudo-classical age. Pseudo means false classical age. And the Augustan literature was mainly intellectual, rational, deficient in emotion and imagination, which exclusively used to deal with the artificial life of the upper class of the city of London. Its form, its diction was totally artificial. The theme, no feeling for nature, no feeling for those who lived outside the narrow confines of the fashionable London society. And it only confined to the heroic couplet and to the utter disregard for the music, the melody, etc. And so the Romantic movement began as a reaction against the dry intellectuality. कैसी इंटेलेक्चुअलिटी थी? ड्राई, सूखी हुई, and the artificiality of the pseudo classics. So, return to nature, quote unquote, return to nature, played a very prominent part in the revival of Romanticism and suffocated with the crammed and the crowded city atmosphere. People longed for now the freshness of nature. They wanted to return to the free and the invigorating life of the world of leaves and the flowers. And so I told you in the precursors that James Thompson's came with the seasons. And we have already done Gray, Collin, Burns, Cowper, Crabbe, all we have done. Blake mysticism we have done. So, the Middle Ages were essentially romantic. Basic समझिएगा तभी आप अच्छा लिख पाएंगे. The Middle Ages were essentially romantic, full of color, full of pageantry, full of magic, full of mystery, even love and adventure. And these things actually used to stir the imagination of the Romantics, who turned back to these ages for their themes and for their inspiration. Hence, a very important phase of the Romantic movement was the medieval revival. Not only were the ancient masters studied, but Old English meters and the poetic forms were also revived. A very important name I am going to tell you, Bishop Percy. Bishop Percy's Relics of the Ancient English Poetry. इनका ये वर्क है 1765. It actually fired the imagination of the people and stimulated the interest in the medieval ballad literature, which attained wide popularity and proved a great power in spreading the Romantic taste. And it was an epoch-making work which served to inspire Coleridge, which served to inspire Scott, and even served to inspire Keats. Equally far-reaching was the influence of Chatterton, Thomas Chatterton, Rowley poems. Question आता है, who wrote the Rowley poems? So Rowley is written by Thomas Chatterton. Then there is a name James Macpherson. जेम्स मैकफर्सन ने लिखा था ओशियानिक पोएम्स. अक्सर आपको पेपर में मिलेगा ओशियन, ओशियानिक, OSSIAN. तो ओशियानिक पोएम्स एसोसिएटेड विद जेम्स मैकफर्सन. सो उसकी पोएम्स में क्या था कि ही अशर्ड in the Celtic spirit of the North into the Romantic movement. And the history of Romanticism, these poems are important landmarks. Why? Because they explain the medievalism of the Romantics, like Coleridge, Scott, and Keats. Now, we come to the mainline course, that after Lyrical Ballads, which was published in 1798, अब तक, इस समय तक, the movement had no unity. It had no fixed programs. It had no aims. It was actually not a very conscious movement, because for the first time that two friends, Wordsworth and Coleridge, emphasized the terms and the objectives of new poetry. Coleridge pointed out that he would treat of objects and incidents supernatural, so that they may look real and convincing. And Wordsworth, on the other hand, was to deal with the subjects taken from the very ordinary and commonplace life, and gave them, by his magic pen or power, the imagination, the charm of novelty. As far as the French and the German influences is concerned, French and German influence बहुत था. No account of the development of English Romanticism can be considered complete. No account, आप कहीं नोट कर सकते हैं स्टूडेंट्स कि फ्रेंच और जर्मन इन्फ्लुएंसेस की अगर हम बात करें, so you will find no account of the development of the English Romanticism can be considered complete without a mention of the impact on it of the French Revolution and the German idealistic philosophy. And Keats, Shelley, Byron, who belonged to the second generation of the Romantic poets, they started composing poems after 1815. And Keats is a unique poet and is a unique phenomena in the history of English Romanticism in many ways, who represented a unique balance of classicism and romanticism, highly imaginative and emotional. He has given poems of perfect beauty. The music, the melody, the sensuousness, the voluptuousness which Keats has given cannot be compared with any poet in the entire world. The music, the melody of the Romantics is combined with the well chiseled and the highly wrought expression of the classics. Now, because we are into the Romantic age or Romantic poetry, we have to know some of its definitions or some little bit about Romanticism. That this term Romanticism has more than 10,000 definitions. Can you believe 10,000 definitions? But not a single definition you can come to the point कि ये सही है ये गलत है. वॉल्टर पेटर ने कहीं पे लिखा है रोमांटिसिज्म के लिए that it is addition of strangeness to beauty. Addition of strangeness to beauty. ये डिफाइन किया है रोमांटिसिज्म को वॉल्टर पेटर ने. फिर वॉट्स डंटन ने कहीं पे लिखा है, डिफाइन किया है, द रेनेसां ऑफ वंडर. उसका डेफिनेशन है द रेनेसां ऑफ वंडर. एंड एबरक्रॉम्बी, बड़ा नाम है, उसने लिखा है दैट रोमांटिसिज्म इज अ विड्रॉल फ्रॉम द आउटर एक्सपीरियंस to concentrate upon the inner experience. एबरक्रॉम्बी ने लिखा है कि romanticism is a withdrawal from the outer experience to concentrate upon the inner experience. So ये कुछ definitions मैंने आपको बताई जिससे आप कभी लिख सकें और आप बोल सकें. तो ये जितनी भी definitions हैं, they may be unsatisfactory, they may be partially satisfactory. Why? Because they emphasize one or the other element of this type of literature instead of giving a composite view. So it would therefore be more profitable to consider the silent features of romantic poetry. जब हमारे पास एक सिंगल डेफिनेशन समझाने और समझने के लिए नहीं है, So instead कि हम उसमें time waste करें, we should not waste our time in describing the definitions. We should understand romanticism by its features, by its characteristics. तो जब हम characteristics को समझ जाएंगे तो अनडाउटेडली उसका definition भी हमें अपने दिमाग में clear हो जाएगा, and then we can write it or make it understand anywhere. सबसे जो पहली बड़ी characteristic है of romantic poetry is subjectivity. Subjectivity कि जितना भी romantic literature है हमारे पास, it is totally subjective. Why? Because it is an expression of the inner urges, of the inner soul of the artist. हमारे दिल की भावना, हमारे दिल के अंदर क्या है वो बाहर है कागजों पे. क्योंकि ऐसे में हम as a poet do not care with the rules and regulations, but give free outlet, free window, free expression to our emotions. क्योंकि हम emphasis कहां पे दे रहे हैं? We are giving emphasis on inspiration. We are giving emphasis on intuition rather than observing all the time the setting of the rules, the heroic couplet, this, blah, blah, blah. No. क्योंकि जब हम सिस्टम में फंस जाते हैं तो हमारे इमोशंस, हमारा माइंड, हमारा नेचुरल स्टिग्मा सब कमजोर हो जाता है. ऐसे में क्या है कि द पोएट्स दे राइट अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर ओन फैंसी, एंड रोमांटिक पोइट्री इज अनडाउटेडली फैंसीफुल. इट इज इंट्रोस्पेक्टिव, and it is also known for a lot of extravagance. So sometimes it is because of this reason it is being criticized as irregular, as wild, because the poets are free to write on any theme XYZ in any form they like, because they have the immense variety now. इमेंस इतना कि 1 से 100 और 100 से 1000 तक हम जा सकते हैं. नो एंड टू इट. सो दैट इज द बेस्ट रीजन ऑफ subjectivity. The second important characteristic feature is spontaneity. You all might be knowing the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, that organic sensibility. Even the ordinary subjects, even the ordinary incidents to these romantic poets excite the imagination and put them to powerful passions. Poetry for these people, for these romantics, is not anything but only inspiration. They are carried away by their powerful passions. They are excited internally. And they are not caring for the perfection of form or clarity of expression. The result is much vagueness and obscurity. So substance is more important for him than the form. और इसी का just opposite था न्यू क्लासिकल में. Form was more important. Next characteristic, which is लव फॉर द सुपरनैचुरल. कोलरिज को देख लीजिए, ब्लेक को देख लीजिए, कहीं न कहीं पे किसी न किसी जगह पे these romantic poets have proved themselves that they also believe in supernaturalism, because they are very much keen, alive to the wonder, to the mystery, to the beauty of the universe. Why? Because they feel their presence of the unseen powers in nature. And this unseen, this transcendental world is more real for him than the world of senses. And the supernatural has in itself a great charm. They are attracted by the fairies, the ghosts, the witchcraft. And so the poetry is an expression of this wonder, the magic, the mystery of the universe. And so supernaturalism is a great important point or element in the romantic inspiration. Then next characteristic is melancholy. जो रोमांटिक होता है, रोमांटिक पोएट्स रोमांटिक एज में, they are basically known for their dissatisfied type of individuality. They are dissatisfied individuals. Dissatisfied may be due to any reasons. Maybe किड्स को देख लीजिए, मदर फादर नहीं थे, भाई की डेथ थी, खुद वो टीबी का शिकार था, फेनी ब्राउन को प्यार करता था, रेसिप्रोकल हुआ नहीं, he became more and more towards death, and finally he died at a tender age of 26. So whatever be the circumstances of their own life, they are dissatisfied with the literary conventions, with the tradition of the day, with the general fate of the humanity. So to sum up, in the melancholic characteristic, we can say that romantic poetry is often, not always, often pessimistic in tone. Pessimistic in tone. The Middle Ages have a special fascination for them, for they not only provide with an escape from the sordid realities of the present, but also delight their heart by their color, by their pageantry, and by their magic. The remote, the distant, and the unknown delight these people for this very reason. Clear? Love for nature, the most important point. All romantic poets, they carry us away from the suffocating atmosphere of the cities into the fresh company of the outdoor world. Not only to the sensuous beauties of the nature, but revealing the soul of that particular thing which lies behind that thing. That is important. And the last point which I want to discuss here is that it is a revolt against all the artificialities. Why? Because it is considered to be the simplest in theme and treatment. Because the romantics, they treat the common man, जैसे वर्ड्सवर्थ को अगर हम लें, that he has raised his voice against the artificial diction of the 18th century classics and advocated the common language, which should be the purpose of poetry. And the revival of ancient meters, the revival of ancient meters is accompanied with a renewed interest in the ancient English masters, Chaucer, Spenser, Milton, etc., who were very much eclipsed by these things. They are again back to that thing, which now these romantic poets are controlling again. So the 18th century, which confined itself to the only use of 1 meter, that is heroic couplet, and with the coming of the romantics, there is a revival of number of ancient meters, the Spenserian stanzas, the ballad meter, the blank verse, the lyric, the ode, the sonnet, and so many things. Clear? So today we end at this, and now it is your homework to consider all what I have done with you today in proper detailing with my study material and as well as your own books. So again meet you tomorrow, same time, और कुछ पूछना हो आपको तो पूछ सकते हैं. मुझे कुछ कहना था, मैं कुछ भूल रहा हूं. हाँ, किसी स्टूडेंट ने हमसे पूछा कि सर थोड़ा सा ब्लैक बोर्ड में लिख दिया करिए. तो मेरा आप सभी लोगों से ये कहना है कि हम ब्लैक बोर्ड में तो लिख दें, बट वाइल आई एम टीचिंग इन फ्लो, जब हम लिखते हैं तो क्या होता है, समय थोड़ा सा ज्यादा जाता है। और मैं जब बोलता हूं तो उस वर्ड को या उस टर्म को या उस पोइट्री को या नाम को एक या दो बार बोलता हूं, इतना क्लियर बोलता हूं कि आप उसको ऑटोमेटिक लिख सकते हैं। आप लोग बहुत छोटे बच्चे तो हैं नहीं, और मेरे ख्याल से उसमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी। तो आई एक्चुअली सेव अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, एंड दैट टाइम विच आई एम सेविंग इट इज बेसिकली फॉर यू पीपल ओनली, कि हम ज्यादा ज्यादा पढ़ा सकते हैं उसी टाइम में। क्लियर? सो ये हम आपको, और फिर भी अगर कोई दिक्कत होगी तो मैं लिखना शुरू कर सकता हूं, बट इट विल टेक टाइम। और टाइम खराब होगा तो हम पढ़ाना ज्यादा होता है, नहीं हो पाएगा। सो स्टूडेंट्स, टेक केयर वंस अगेन।